If you find yourself constantly flinching, reeling from every minor slight, or drowning in the wake of every disappointment, then understand this. You are unwittingly surrendering your most precious asset, your inner power. The truth, whispered by history's most formidable minds, is not that life offers fewer problems to the strong. No, the truth is that the truly unshakable have simply mastered their response to the storm. Imagine moving through your days not as a leaf buffeted by every gust of wind, but as an ancient oak, rooted deep, weathering the gale with unwavering resolve. No more overthinking that spirals into anxiety. No more impulsive outbursts that leave you drained and regretful. Just a profound, quiet mastery over your emotional landscape. In this journey, we will unlock the ancient wisdom and modern strategies to forge an unshaken mind, a fortress within that renders external chaos powerless. We will train your intellect and your spirit to act as if nothing can truly disturb your core, transforming you from a prisoner of your reactions into the sovereign ruler of your inner world. Because once this mastery is cultivated, once this inner fortress is built, nothing and no one will ever again hold sway over your peace, your purpose, or your potential. The impregnable mindset. Building your inner sanctuary, life is a relentless river constantly flowing with challenges, criticisms, and unexpected currents. The world will always test your boundaries, throw stones at your aspirations, and whisper doubts into your ear. But true strength isn't found in a world free of friction. It's discovered in your ability to remain unmoved by it. Imagine a lighthouse standing resolute against the fiercest tempest, its light unwavering, its foundation unshaken. This is the essence of an impregnable mindset, the profound art of allowing the storm to rage around you without ever piercing your core. The fundamental secret lies in detaching your emotional state from external circumstances. When you grant outside events, people's opinions, or fleeting frustrations the power to dictate your mood, you become a puppet, your strings pulled by forces beyond your control. Every harsh word, every unforeseen delay, every casual judgment becomes a barb that pricks your peace. But when you systematically train your mind to observe rather than absorb, to assess rather than react, you step into the shoes of the master. The world naturally bows to those who radiate calm in chaos, to those who do not crumble under the weight of pressure. When you embody this mindset, you command respect and authority without uttering a single demand. You move through life with a silent power, a magnetic presence, and an unshakable confidence that sets you apart. Consider the giants of history. Abraham Lincoln, who navigated a nation through its darkest hour amidst relentless personal attacks and political turmoil. His power wasn't in silencing his critics or reacting to every provocation. It was in his profound ability to remain focused on his purpose, his resolve unblemished by the surrounding clamor. His strength was in his stoic composure, a testament to an inner world that transcended external noise. This is the true essence of an impregnable mindset, not an absence of feeling, but a conscious redirection of your emotional energy. The wisdom of the ancients, echoed in modern psychology, teaches us that thought precedes feeling and feeling precedes action. What you dwell upon, you amplify. If you constantly feed the beast of emotional reactivity, you surrender your inherent power. But if you cultivate an unwavering mental fortress, the world in its bewildering complexity begins to bend to the will of your composed reality. Those who achieve extraordinary things understand this bedrock principle: master the mind, and you master your destiny. Imagine a scenario. Someone publicly attempts to diminish you with a cutting remark. The instinctive response for many is a surge of anger, a defensive retort, or a retreat into shame. But what if instead you simply meet their gaze, offer a calm, knowing smile, and pivot to another topic, or simply walk away? You have just disarmed the aggressor entirely. They anticipated a reaction, a chaotic dance, and when they receive none, their attack falls flat, leaving them disoriented. You, on the other hand, walk away stronger, untouched, unequivocally victorious, without a single word of rebuttal. This is the silent dominance that few cultivate, but all universally admire. The same principle applies to the inevitable encounters with failure and setbacks. When confronted with rejection, a missed opportunity, or a project that collapses, the typical response is to let emotions overwhelm, to drown in frustration, to replay perceived mistakes, to lament over lost time. Days, weeks, even months can be lost in this emotional quicksand. But those who possess an impregnable mindset see failure as nothing more than data. It is information, a learning experience, an adjustment to the compass, a necessary stepping stone on the path to mastery. They do not internalize failure as a personal indictment. They observe, extract the lessons, adapt their approach, and relentlessly move forward. How do you cultivate this profound level of inner control? It begins with daily mental conditioning. Practice the habit of a deliberate pause before any emotional reaction. Ask yourself, in that critical micro moment, does this fleeting situation truly impact my long-term vision? Is this emotional reaction truly necessary, or am I about to hand over my power unnecessarily? By consistently choosing non-reaction, by electing composure over chaos, you steadily build an armor of resilience that shields your spirit from the trivialities and temporary turbulences of life. Another indispensable element is intentional visualization. See yourself with vivid clarity as someone who moves through life utterly unaffected by external noise. Picture a version of yourself who does not flinch at insults, who does not crumble under the weight of pressure, who navigates challenges with an almost supernatural calm. When you consistently reinforce this potent image in your mind, it begins to integrate into your subconscious, progressively becoming your default reality. The human mind is an astonishingly powerful architect, and what you repeatedly visualize with conviction, you inevitably become. Let others marvel at your composure. Let them question the source of your quiet strength. Because when you consistently demonstrate that nothing can truly unsettle you, you control the narrative, you dictate the rules of the game. You become an enigma, a figure of silent authority whom people respect but can never quite figure out. And in that very mystery lies your profound, unshakable strength. True power is not about overt domination or aggressive displays. It is about an unshakable presence, a quiet certainty so potent that it needs no external validation. Master this and you master life itself. Emotional alchemy, transmuting reactivity into strategic power to stay truly unshaken. Consider the most formidable individuals you know, the quiet titans of industry, the serene leaders of movement. They don't react impulsively to every slight. They don't allow the volatile currents of emotion to dictate their every move. Instead, they pause, they assess, they respond with deliberate intention. This is not because they are devoid of feeling, far from. It's because they have diligently mastered the art of emotional alchemy, transforming raw, reactive energy into focused, strategic power. Emotional detachment isn't about suppressing your feelings until they fester. It's about cultivating the profound skill of observing your emotions without being consumed by them. It's about refusing to allow fleeting sensations to hijack your long-term vision. Picture this. You're in a heated exchange, and the other person is purposefully trying to provoke a reaction, aiming to derail your composure. Do you fall into their trap? Do you let their words seize control of your emotional state? Or do you meet their intensity with a calm, knowing gaze, understanding that their words hold no intrinsic power unless you grant them that power? Emotional detachment is the ultimate act of self-sovereignty, refusing to hand over your inner peace to external forces, no matter how aggressive or persistent. It's the profound realization that your inner world is sacred, your emotional sanctuary untouchable unless you open its gates yourself. When you adopt this mindset, a remarkable transformation occurs. Stress dramatically decreases, mental clarity skyrockets, and life's most formidable challenges transform from overwhelming battles into intriguing puzzles waiting to be solved. Consider the timeless principle that thoughts shape reality. What you consistently focus on, what you emotionally invest in, you inevitably attract and amplify. When you allow external events and other people's volatile moods to dictate your state of mind, you become a slave to circumstances, adrift on a sea of unpredictable currents. But when you seize control of your thoughts and emotions, consciously directing them with intention, you become the undisputed architect of your own fate. Think of the story of a person who lost everything. A business collapsed, investments crumbled, personal dreams shattered. Most would understandably drown in despair, consumed by grief and anger. But the truly detached individual sees such a catastrophic loss not as a tragedy but as a profound lesson, a brutal but necessary recalibration. They understand that their mind is their ultimate asset, and no external loss, no material devastation can strip them of that inner resource. With this deeply ingrained mindset, they meticulously rebuild, often emerging stronger, wiser, and more successful than before. This is the transformative power of detachment. When you stop identifying your core self with transient failures or temporary setbacks, you liberate yourself to rise far above them. A primary reason why many people consistently fail to achieve their grandest goals is emotional turbulence. They allow fear, doubt, and frustration to seize the controls. They start with admirable ambition, but surrender the moment unexpected challenges inevitably arise. They mistake temporary discomfort for insurmountable obstacles. But those who master emotional detachment understand that emotions are at their core just fleeting sensations, waves on the ocean of consciousness. They refuse to allow a temporary feeling to derail a long-term, carefully constructed goal. They persist, they endure, and they ultimately prevail because they have trained their minds to view obstacles not as roadblocks, but as essential stepping stones. Training yourself to be emotionally detached does not imply becoming cold, heartless, or truly indifferent to the world. It means reaching a state where you are no longer buffeted by external forces, where your internal state is not a mere reflection of chaotic external stimuli. You can still experience profound joy, deep sadness, and exhilarating excitement, but you remain the conscious observer, the master of your internal experience. Your emotions serve you, providing valuable feedback and energy, rather than you serving them, becoming a prisoner of their capricious whims. To cultivate this masterful mindset, practice stepping back in emotionally charged situations. The next time someone unleashes a harsh word, or an event doesn't unfold as you expected, pause. Instead of an immediate knee-jerk reaction, observe your feelings. Ask yourself, with detached curiosity, does this momentary situation truly affect my life in any meaningful long-term way? More often than not, the honest answer will be a resounding no. By consistently choosing not to react, by electing a calm response, you effectively nullify their power over you, and you reclaim your own. Detachment is also profoundly strengthened by having a crystal clear purpose. When you possess a strong, compelling vision for your life, petty distractions, minor criticisms, and fleeting frustrations lose their gravitational pull. Your focus becomes an unbreakable laser beam directed towards your ultimate objective, because you intuitively understand that your emotional energy is far too valuable to waste on things that do not serve your highest aim. The world truly belongs to those who master themselves, their minds, and their emotions. The more you cultivate this profound emotional control, the more utterly unstoppable you become. While others descend into panic, you remain poised. While others react impulsively, you respond strategically. And in doing so, you gain an insurmountable advantage that very few will ever attain. True strength is not about physical dominance or loud, aggressive displays of power. It is about possessing an unshakable presence, a quiet authority that commands respect without ever needing to demand it. When you master the art of emotional detachment, you don't merely navigate life, you become its conscious, deliberate architect. Mindful indifference. The superpower of strategic prioritization. We are culturally conditioned to believe that we must care about everything: people's opinions, their validation, their judgments, the endless scroll of fleeting news. Society often subtly teaches us that our inherent worth is inextricably linked to how much emotional investment we pour into the thoughts and expectations of others. But true, profound freedom, the kind that unshackles the soul, emerges when you awaken to the revolutionary truth that most things simply do not matter. The next time you find yourself caught in the swirling vortex of overthinking, anxiously replaying a social interaction, or fretting over a minor criticism, pause and ask yourself this liberating question: will this truly matter in 5 years? More often than not, the answer will be a definitive no. Most of what currently troubles us, casual criticisms, temporary setbacks, fleeting embarrassments, the perceived slights, becomes utterly insignificant with the passage of time. Yet we allow these ephemeral concerns to consume our thoughts, dictate our emotions, and tragically control our actions. This is precisely why mastering mindful indifference is the absolute key to reclaiming your stolen power. Mindful indifference is not, as some mistakenly assume, an embrace of apathy or a cold detachment from life itself. On the contrary, it is an act of supreme prioritization. It is the conscious recognition that your precious energy is finite, a valuable currency that must be wisely invested. It's the deliberate choice to pour your focus, your time, and your emotional reserves into what truly deserves your attention. Your deepest values, your most compelling purpose, your personal growth, and your inner peace. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every fleeting opinion is worthy of your consideration. When you cease reacting to every minor inconvenience, every perceived slight, you instantly regain control. You shift from being a perpetually emotionally reactive individual to a strategically responsive master of your life. And that profound shift, it changes absolutely everything. Think of the individuals you admire most, the groundbreaking innovators, the visionary artists, the transformative leaders. They are rarely the ones desperately seeking approval or reacting impulsively to every challenge. They are instead the ones who stand firm, their presence unwavering, unshaken by the clamor and noise of the world. They possess an unshakable inner compass, a profound knowing of who they are, and because of that, they cannot be easily manipulated, swayed, or influenced by external forces. When you adopt this mindset of mindful indifference, something truly remarkable begins to unfold. People spontaneously begin to respect you more, not because you are actively seeking their validation, but precisely because they perceive you as someone who cannot be swayed, someone utterly anchored in their own truth. In a world where the vast majority are desperate to fit in, to be liked, to conform to prevailing norms, the one who stands firm, deeply rooted in their own self-worth, holds the true silent power. Consider a scenario where someone criticizes you unfairly, perhaps out of their own insecurity or misunderstanding. The weak-minded immediately react. They become defensive, they over-explain their intentions, or they retaliate with anger. The strong, however, remain impeccably calm. They understand with a quiet certainty that words only possess power if they are granted permission to do so. By withholding an emotional reaction, by simply observing the criticism without absorbing it, they maintain complete control, not just over the immediate situation, but profoundly over themselves. And that deep intrinsic self-respect, born of composure, commands far more genuine admiration than any impulsive outburst ever could. The same fundamental principle applies to the pursuit of success. Those who achieve true greatness are not the ones who squander their precious energy on trivial concerns, engaging in petty dramas, or allowing external judgments to derail them. They are laser-focused, their attention irrevocably anchored to their overarching goals, resolutely refusing to be distracted by the irrelevant noise of the world. They operate with absolute clarity, understanding that every moment spent worrying about irrelevant criticisms or seeking external validation is a moment stolen directly from their progress, a precious drop of energy diverted from their ultimate destination. So how do you cultivate this powerful level of mindful indifference? Begin by rigorously evaluating your reactions. The next time you feel a surge of anger, a wave of frustration, or a knot of anxiety rising within you over something seemingly minor, pause, take a conscious breath, then ask yourself, with brutal honesty, is this truly worth my irreplaceable energy? Does this petty concern deserve my mental real estate? More often than not, the answer will be a liberating. Train yourself, with consistent practice, to simply let go of what does not genuinely serve your highest good. Another profoundly powerful practice is setting crystal clear priorities. Define with absolute precision what genuinely matters in your life, your core purpose, your personal growth, your deep relationships, your inner peace. When you establish such a strong, unshakable foundation of self-worth, the fleeting opinions, the casual judgments, and the unwarranted criticisms of others lose their insidious grip on you. You become, in essence, untouchable, not because you don't care about anything, but precisely because you care so profoundly and wisely about the right thing. This is the profound secret that most never realize. True power lies not in desperately seeking external approval, but in being utterly unmoved by rejection. It is discovered in the profound ability to gracefully walk away from what drains your spirit, to effortlessly rise above petty conflicts, and to remain relentlessly focused in a world designed to distract you. In the end, it is not about caring less, it is about caring wisely. It is about choosing with surgical precision where to direct your finite energy and steadfastly refusing to waste it on what does not truly deserve your sacred attention. Because when you master the profound art of mindful indifference, you don't merely survive, you thrive. And in a world where almost everyone is overly concerned with pleasing others, the one who stands firm, unshaken in their own self-worth, will always inevitably rise above the rest. The approval trap. Reclaiming your self-sovereignty. Seeking approval is not merely a habit, it is a meticulously crafted trap, a gilded cage that subtly places your fundamental happiness and sense of worth directly into the hands of others. It makes you a slave to their fluctuating opinions, a prisoner dependent on their fleeting validation. The stark reality, often inconvenient but ultimately liberating, is this: no one's opinion of you should ever, under any circumstance, outweigh your own. The precise moment you grant another individual the power to define your worth, you relinquish control over your own life, your own narrative, and your own destiny. True confidence, the kind that radiates from within and attracts genuine respect, is not a gift bestowed by others. It is painstakingly built through self-reliance, through the profound, unshakable knowing that you require no one's permission to be authentically, unapologetically yourself. Consider the most magnetic, charismatic individuals you've ever encountered. They rarely beg for approval. They certainly don't shrink their vast potential to fit into smaller, predefined boxes. Instead, they own who they are, flaws and all, with a quiet, resolute certainty. And that, paradoxically, is precisely what makes them so utterly powerful. Their power resides not in external accolades, but in their unwavering sense of self. While the majority chase the elusive phantom of external validation, they walk their own path, unapologetically and with a singular purpose that needs no outside affirmation. The insatiable need for approval is deeply rooted in primal fears: the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of standing alone, ostracized from the tribe. But here is the profound, liberating truth: the more you chase approval, the more you unwittingly surrender your intrinsic power. You become a chameleon of expectations, perpetually bending and twisting yourself into molds designed by others, and in doing so, you commit the ultimate betrayal, a betrayal of your authentic self. Freedom, true freedom, manifests when you finally release the desperate need to be universally liked. It is an absolute illusion, a mirage in the desert, to believe that universal approval is even remotely possible. No matter what monumental feat you accomplish, no matter how impeccably you conduct yourself, someone somewhere will always have something negative to say. Some will admire you, others will criticize you, and a vast, indifferent majority won't care at all. So why then squander your finite energy trying to appease an impossible collective? Think of the individuals who have genuinely changed the course of history: revolutionary leaders, fearless innovators, transcendent creators. Their primary concern was never about fitting in or being universally accepted. They were driven by an unyielding vision, by a profound, compelling purpose, by an incandescent fire within them that burned brighter than any external critique. They faced torrents of criticism, yet they remained utterly unfazed. Their confidence was not built on the shifting sands of public opinion. It was forged in the unyielding steel of self-belief, and that, fundamentally, is what made them utterly unstoppable. If you are determined to break free from the suffocating approval trap, begin by asking yourself, with unflinching honesty, whose opinion truly matters in the grand scheme of my life? More often than not, the loudest, most critical voices emanate from those who have never walked your unique path, who possess no genuine understanding of your arduous journey, and whose own limitations are reflected in their judgment. Their words carry no real weight unless you make the critical mistake of allowing them to. Another indispensable step is learning to validate yourself from within. Consciously acknowledge your own monumental progress, no matter how incremental it seems. Celebrate your wins, both grand and seemingly insignificant. When you consistently begin to recognize your own inherent worth, when you truly internalize your own value, external approval instantaneously becomes irrelevant. You no longer need the thunderous applause of the masses to feel worthy. You simply know you are. Detaching from external validation does not mean becoming arrogant, dismissive, or isolated. It means standing profoundly firm in who you are, in your core values, in your unique journey. It means honoring your own decisions, trusting your own intuition, and steadfastly refusing to allow others to dictate your sacred path. It means understanding with absolute certainty that your inherent value as a human being is not something to be negotiated, debated, or granted by anyone else. The moment you cease desperately seeking external validation is the precise moment you truly begin to live freely. You no longer filter your words, your actions, or your audacious dreams through the constricting lens of others' expectations. You move through life with a profound authenticity, a fearless boldness, and an unshakable sense of purpose that radiates from your very being. Not everyone will understand you, not everyone will support your audacious journey, and that, unequivocally, is perfectly fine. The ones who genuinely matter will respect you, not because you desperately seek their approval, but precisely because you demonstrate, through your very existence, that you fundamentally do not need it. So choose yourself. Stand unyielding in your beliefs. in your core values, in your grand vision. Let go of the desperate need for external validation and embrace with every fiber of your being the unparalleled power of self-acceptance. Because once you do, you become truly untouched, not because you possess everyone's approval, but because you no longer require it from anyone.